This watch has been with me for nearly 2 years, and just by looking at it, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. But an interesting question arises. Is the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic worth it? And what holds up well and what doesn't? If you were to look at this watch from afar, I wouldn't be surprised if you thought I bought it about a month ago. After 2 years of average use, the screen has held up remarkably well, with only one minor scratch on the corner. Despite me being very rough with this watch, bumping it on walls and dropping it many times, it's impressive to see how intact the screen remains. Even the bezel shows little to no damage from the impacts it's endured over its lifetime. However, when we switch to the back, it hasn't held up as well, as it's accumulated more scratches than the front, including one deep scratch near the sensor. This doesn't really bother me, as I barely notice its damage, so it's not really an issue. My only concern is whether it might affect the accuracy of the watch's measurements. The silicone strap hasn't fared well either, showing micro tears and some detachment of the leather from the silicone base. This isn't a big worry though, as all I can do is replace it for less than $20. So here comes the main question. How does the software hold up after 2 years of consistent use? If I had to describe it in one word, I would say fine. Not a bad experience, but not a great one either. With each update, you can definitely tell this watch is beginning to struggle with the tasks it used to handle effortlessly. There's a slight lag with the actions, even with something as simple as scrolling, which comes and goes, but reminds you that this watch is beginning to show its age. The primary cause seems to be RAM management, and as more and more updates are pushed to this watch, I can imagine more RAM is required to run basic tasks, until the watch can no longer handle them as smoothly. However, we're not quite at that point yet. Most of the time, this watch feels smooth and fluid, and apps open with ease, albeit a little slower than before. Overall, it's a fine experience, with the occasional lag in some menus, but that's not really a big issue for me. By the way, if you're wondering, the Galaxy Watch 4 is supported until 2025. There hasn't been a specific date given, meaning that this watch has got until next year to receive its last update. And for a watch that's been out this long, I'd say it's had a good run. If we're talking about what doesn't hold up well with this watch, I'd say battery. It simply cannot hold a charge for more than 24 hours. And for those who are relatively active, don't be surprised if the watch dies after 6 to 7 hours on a single charge. While reverse wireless charging can come in handy, this watch takes a long time to fully charge, and I often find myself removing it while I'm inactive to top it up, rather than waiting for a full charge from 0 to 100%, which would take around about 2 hours and 30 minutes. And for a day's worth of charge, that is simply not enough, being a major deal breaker for me, pushing me to consider an upgrade. However, if we were to take the battery out of the equation, I'd say the watch holds up quite well. It still automatically tracks workouts and has a relatively accurate fall detection system, though sometimes it does take a while to recognize a fall versus a bump. GPS tracking is also decent, though not especially accurate if you enter areas covered in forest or buildings. And that's if you can even get there, because more than likely the watch will be dead. And to give you an idea on how fast this watch drains while on a workout, the watch uses about 24% per hour you're doing your workout. So if you're doing a workout for, let's say, 2 hours, you could be losing nearly half your battery for that 2 hours. That's how fast the battery drains on the Galaxy Watch 4. If I was asked whether I would recommend the Galaxy Watch 4 in 2024, I would say yes and no. No if you're looking for a watch with a strong battery life that can last you 2 days on a single charge. For that, I can guarantee you this watch will not meet those standards. But yes, if you want an affordable Samsung watch that just works and does its job well, and if you don't mind charging on the go, or charging overnight, or charging while you're in the shower, and at the price point of $70 to $80, I say this watch still offers value to the average consumer, though probably not for a tech enthusiast like me, as we might notice things that the average consumer won't.